Welcome to part 4 of episode 1, our pilot episode on the Prograde podcast, recorded live on the 23rd of September 2017. You can visit our website for more information at progradepodcast.com. In part 4, we will be discussing the weird and wonderful world that we live in. I am Dan, or media handler is Akinesis Gaming, and back with me is Digital Psychosis, Motoric Nika, and the Red Panda. Okay,
Hello.
Right. So this is a bit of it's a bit of a broad section of the podcast in terms of the content that you'll find here. So we'll be talking about anything from the supernatural to the paranormal to conspiracy theories, just some outrageous, scary and creepy stuff, or we could be talking about some wonderful things that we find on our planet. But it will probably be more in the a jocular tone. We don't take anything seriously in this podcast. You won't find any. Well, you will find contentious subjects, but we'll try and pitch it in a way that is fun, rather than disrespectful or opinionated, or I say over opinionated. So we'll see how we get on.
Basically, we're gonna have to piss with it.
Yeah. This stemmed from a section we used to do in our former podcast, which was conspiracy theories, which used to wind the Red Panda up because he just finds them, or a lot of them, ridiculous. We will do some silly ones. We will do some sensible ones as well. But the idea is to get a dialogue going and perhaps some thought-provoking as well. I decided that we're going to revive that, but we're going to broaden it out to a much wider range of things. And the Red Panda, you're going to kick us off with this.
Yes, we're going to cover NASA's totally not risky plan to drill into Yellowstone's magma chamber to prevent a massive supervolcano.
There you go.
to prevent.
To prevent.
Going to agitate.
Yeah, no,
NASA's
prevent. Not being like a super, villain in the corner or anything. No.
What?
So, here's the deal. There was this paper written by a NASA scientist, and the original story got picked up by the BBC, and its title was NASA's ambitious plan to save the Earth from a supervolcano. It got some of the things wrong, but that was the title of the story. Fox News picked this up and said, God. NASA wants to prevent Yellowstone supervolcano from destroying the United States. Then it was picked up by The Sun, that notable UK tabloid, which says NASA's risky plan to save the world from a Yellowstone volcano, which could trigger an eruption instead of stopping it. So it went crazy.
Snowball effect?
I was going to say the quality of those particular publications just got better and better as things went on.
And it gets even better because if you have been lurking around the corners of the internet for the last month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 years, there has been an increase in the number of micro tremors in Yellowstone. And if you do not know it, the world ended today, so Aki doesn't have to edit this. But yet again, we had NASA even had to update one of their things about that Nibiru planet or whatever it was.
Nibiru.
Yeah, they apparently was supposed to come by today.
Yes,
the 23rd of September in 2017.
Well, I'm the 24th. It hasn't happened.
Yeah, exactly. In any case, the increase in eruptions is supposed to indicate an increased volatility of Yellowstone, which means that it's going to erupt in a supervolcano, which will kill everyone. Okay. That, in and of itself, is ridiculous. But this article was so butchered from the original idea that it's not even funny. So if you read some of these articles, they think that NASA is planning on creating giant drilling rigs in the middle of Yellowstone, drilling straight down into the magma and trying to pump cold water into the magma chamber to stop it.
So the solution is to increase the pressure.
Wait a minute. That's not how that works.
I don't think the water would reach it as a liquid.
Not only that, but you're not going to drill straight down into the magma chamber anyway. That's just
because that's not how geology works.
It's about 3 miles down. but you're not going to be able to do it. But because of all these conspiracy theorists saying that they just don't want us to know that it's going to erupt and this, that, and the other thing. So let's take a step back to what the real story was all about. The real story was about a NASA scientist who figured out that if we did some side drilling on the super caldera using technology we don't quite have yet, you could pump through massive amounts of cold water in a system that would enter from the bottom and run upwards and create basically limitless supplies of geothermal energy, and at the same time roughly cool down the magma core of Yellowstone at a rate of something like a meter every decade, because you're taking the energy out.
Right, of course.
You know, something like that. I forget what the exact number was, but let's see if I can find
I don't think numbers
the
are
actual,
particularly important in this section.
But the point is, it would not stop it if it decided to blow up tomorrow. It would not stop it if it decided to blow up 100 years from now. It might stop it if it decided, I mean, it might stop it from going off 500 to 1,000 years from now, if we kept at it that whole time. And in the meantime, it could theoretically produce almost infinite amounts of electricity for roughly, what did they say? Roughly something like 10 cents per kilowatt hour.
That's not bad.
Those savings wouldn't be passed on to the customer, though.
Is not free, but is extremely competitive. And you could literally power everything from Chicago to the West Coast with some of that if you built it big enough. And the estimates are it would cost roughly $3.75 billion to build, and then you could start charging electricity. Now, realize that this was one of those theory articles that NASA scientists do all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This you guys understand this. It's brainstorming, it's what if articles. This is not something that was budgeted or even submitted to be budgeted or was part of a secret covert planning ops thing to set out, to try to do a core tap. I actually read one article in one little corner where they were talking about this was NASA's attempt to core tap the planet by using the Yellowstone magma chamber. Now, it's clear they don't understand what a core tap actually would do, but they think that it would give NASA some kind of superpower, apparently. And, after all, these are the same groups of people who believe that NASA is behind Big Globe and trying to hide the secret of the flat Earth from all of us as well. So, I mean, these people are not super geniuses.
So reputable people. Totally reputable
people. But it really was one of these stories that just kind of blew up conspiracy wise, and I literally watched it. It was like slow motion stupidity creeping through, because I saw the articles about the earthquakes and I knew where this was going, and I immediately, you could just see it day after day, these people making their stupidity connections to one another and watching this sort of snowball upwards into a conspiracy that got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just is ridiculous. Now, the idea of using Yellowstone for geothermal energy is actually a pretty decent one, and the side effect would be that given a couple of centuries, you might reduce the chance of an eruption. Note there was a might and centuries involved there.
Well, there's a big if when you're playing with something with the power of a volcano.
Well, but it's not just any volcano. It's one of the few super volcanoes on the planet. If it goes...
Yes. The whole world's in trouble, really.
Yeah, the whole world's in trouble. I mean, forget North America. And people keep making how big a deal it is that we're overdue.
Mm.
We're overdue.
Like the magnetic poles flipping.
We're overdue for the next eruption. Well, no. the last three major eruptions were 2.1 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago, roughly.
So we're good. We should be good as long as it follows that trend. We're good for a few 100,000 years.
Well, the gaps between those were 800,000 and 660,000, which means that the average interval is 740,000, which means that roughly we should be worrying about it in about 100,000 years.
I reckon.
Sounds reasonable.
I reckon. Yeah, I'm not going to be too concerned about that.
I mean, could it happen tomorrow? Yes. But no, it actually couldn't happen tomorrow because we monitor the magma chamber. We have a relatively good idea of what's going on down there. I mean, we've got sensors all over the place. And it's possible that it's winding down its activity and may never erupt again.
Yeah. I mean, plenty of volcanoes go dormant.
Yes. So, it's possible, but it's unlikely. In any case, we could get some good geothermal energy out of it, but that one article just sort of... it's amazing how people will take one thread of one thing, take a bunch of nonsense from other people, combine them together, and we get NASA is doing a super risky plan to drill into Yellowstone's magma chamber, which may also blow up the world. And they don't want you to know about it.
Yeah.
So the whole way through you explaining this, one thing has stood out to me. What does the acronym NASA stand for?
National Aeronautical... Gone. Should be American.
And Space Administration.
Yeah.
What fucking interest do they have about a volcano on Earth?
It's NASA.
It's part of the ground. It's aeronautics and space. It's not even in their name. It's not their purpose.
But the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Big globe.
My God. It's like... It's anti-vaxxer level arguments.
It's
but it was literally just had to do with
energy,
energy,
into, isn't it?
It was literally about a power project, basically, and I mean, what does
now
NASA
it's a
have?
doomsday device.
Yeah, now it's a doomsday device, exactly. So
Yes, because the guy who wrote the article is sitting there, in a freaking lab coat and stroking a cat on his lap, just going, bring out the death ray. Just obnoxious, ridiculous stupidity. How could people run with this?
Well, I mean, this is you're reacting the way I usually react when you guys bring up these conspiracies. But the point
news.
but the point being that this is one of those the world is going to end and NASA's going to help bring it about kind of thing.
Maybe it's a conspiracy theory that goes off in a different tangent. They're trying to get everyone to buy underground bunkers to put at their house.
Yeah,
maybe
but an underground bunker wouldn't help against a super volcano.
Well, you don't tell them that.
Oh, sorry.
We're pitching bunkers.
Yeah, you see this.
We need a way to sell more bunkers.
All of a sudden, 10% off underground doomsday bunkers. And then, boom.
I haven't got any words. I'm sorry.
It's not even worth going off in a tangent for.
I can't. I just can't. I knew so little about this, and when Red brought it up, I just went, this is going to be some really wacky stuff. And you know what? It's predictably wacky, but they're pointing the finger at the people that have no authority. It's just dumb.
You there, space people. Stop
Drilling
drilling underground. Oh dear.
Okay. What's next?
I'm done.
You're done? Oh. Okay, well, this thing that I'm bringing in will hopefully balance this silliness out with some seriousness, because these are actual things. And let me take off the mute there for that. So
I think that can more.
Hey.
I think that concerns me more that these are active things.
Sure. Well, I wanted to go for a creepy theme. So we've had too much fun. Everyone's had too much fun. So we're going for the creepy stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
Times are over.
My what I'm bringing to this section is something called the number radio stations. Has anyone heard of the number radio stations?
nope.
Okay. So the number stations were first used from World War One, knowingly used from World War One, to transmit coded messages, usually in numbers which can be deciphered by a qualified listener to reveal a message to intelligence individuals and/or organizations. The messages are useless unless you have a translation book. So it's in principle, it's kind of similar to the Enigma machine for World War II, which is probably something a lot of people could relate to. So I've got a compilation of some. I mean, there's so many. There's actually, I think it's called the Con A project, which is someone did with the old ham radios, and they compiled all of these weird station broadcasts and put them on a CD or CDs, which you can actually buy and listen to. And they're pretty creepy to listen to. There is. I dare say the word conspiracy theory, but there is that drive behind them. Some of them could just be innocent testing. Some of them could just be keeping a radio frequency clear by transmitting on it. But there's obviously the drive that this is. We're going to go back to Cassini on this one. There is some alien messages being transmitted, or it is a big secret. Military is a big secret military coded messages, which is plausible, it's plausible, but some of them are just really weird. So I'm going to start with I've got some information on these. If you're interested, you can go to progradepodcast.com once this is released, and they'll be up there in the show notes. So you can research them more if you're interested. I've just got a quick bit of history behind these signals. And the first one that I've got is Yosemite Sam. And this is one of the better ones in terms of how comfortable it is to listen to. So it's a nickname given to the station because of the message it plays. It's Yosemite Sam's voice from Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny's arch nemesis and everything. It plays for 7 seconds after the top of the hour and lasts for 2 minutes. It first appeared on December the 19th, 2004, and disappeared on December the 23rd, 2004, to return in February 2005. And the transmitter is believed to be in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So they're trying to pinpoint the location of these. Two amateur radio operators who claim to have tracked the source of the signal down in February 2005 as being located at the Matic Center in Laguna, a factory owned by Laguna Industries, who develops and tests new radio communications technology. But as they took pictures of the site, they were approached by security guards and they had to leave. 3 hours later, the transmission allegedly stopped and has never been heard from again. And it transmitted on multiple frequencies, 3700, 4300, 6500, and 10,500 kilohertz, and was apparently a test for the US Army. Now, if you try and look up information on the Matic Center, information did drop off. I don't know if it's still an active building. I don't know, but information has been removed, or access to the information about it has been removed, which is why it's got a bit more hype. Because if we're not supposed to be listening to if we can listen to these frequencies, why has it been removed? I have Jack and Night streams come in. The biggest, most plausible explanation I've heard is coded messages for spies for these signals. And to a degree that is true. Some cases it has been acknowledged that these are messages, and I have some of them. So we will go on to the Yosemite Sam signal. This is a recording of the Yosemite Sam signal.
Interesting.
That's the Yosemite Sam signal. So it did that. Where was it? Plays for 7 seconds after the top of the hour and lasts for 2 minutes So it was clockwork. So every 7 seconds past the top of the hour, it would play that message for 2 minutes. And they think there's a lot of encrypted data in that for transmissions. And when it was discovered, it got shut off. So that's the Yosemite Sam one. Gajira said the nature of these signals being used, because anyone can listen to them, that would be weirdly old school. I suspect military comms tech get bored sitting in a desert. But it's an effective and easy way of transmitting data without having to go through satellites or anything. It just gets transmitted out. Dishrag, no. Sky King, not familiar with Sky King. Okay, the next one is a Russian one. UVB-76, also known as the Buzzer. It was discovered in 1973 on a frequency of 4625 kilohertz. It broadcasts 25 tones per minute, 24 hours a day. Now, some of these radio stations are still active, by the way. Sometimes the signal is interrupted with a live Russian voice transmission. In 2010, the station moved location, re-identified as MDZ-HB, and again it moved in 2015. But even though it got redesignated, it just everyone refers to it as UVB-76. It is said the purpose of the voice messages is to confirm that operators are It says the purpose of the voice messages is to confirm that operators at receiving stations are alert, but the military is suspected for its use. People who have explored the original signal source site reported an abandoned military base. And this is called the Buzzer.
УЗБ-76, УЗБ-76, 93 882, Наимина, 74 14, 35 74, девятка, тройка, восьмерка, восьмерка, двойка, Николай, Анна, Иван, Михаил, Иван, Николай, Анна, семерка, четверка, единица, четверка, тройка, пятерка, семерка, четверка.
And there's a Russian
So I
buzzer.
don't speak Russian.
No,
So
neither do I.
do we have any idea what he says?
Well, he just reads out a load of numbers and a load of names. So it's potentially addressing particular agents. And the
Right.
numbers will collate to information. So
See, now this is really conspiracy-ish, isn't it? Yours.
Yeah.
yeah, it is. What are they actually talking about? So the next one, the Gong Station. It's called the Gong Station. It's transmitted on a frequency of 3258 kilohertz by the East German Army. Accounts allude to its use as a method of sending coded messages to operatives during the Cold War. Transmissions began at half-hour intervals beginning in early evening European time. So this is the Gong Station. And some of these are quite... I think this is one of the more uncomfortable ones to listen to.
Trennung 1, 6. 3, 8, 1, 4, 6. Trennung 1, 4. 7, 5, 1, 5, 3. Trennung 2, 6. Achtung, 0, 3, 2, 4, 6. Trennung 1, 6.
Okay, apologies.
So that's German.
yes.
But we actually know that that was a legitimate one, right?
Yeah,
That's what you were
yeah,
saying?
that was a legitimate one. So there was supposed to be an edited version of that wouldn't make it so long. So apologies to chat for putting you through that, but I didn't want to stop it after
I
starting playing.
heard a ton of numbers in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was numbers.
So
And then Achtung.
this there's another one. One of the ones I think before it stopped transmitting, if memory serves. This is one of the ones that came through on the final transmissions. So that was German singing, and they're singing about little ducks apparently in a pond. And
Little ducks in a pond.
Yeah,
Is that like a traditional song or something?
yeah, apparently it's a good childhood song, but there's conflicting translations. Some people are singing that they've altered the song about. Yeah, it's weird.
XN just said that is a German children's song.
It is a German children's song, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Is what for me anyway. But apparently they variated it.
You know what? Those German ones right there, they sounded like they sounded more like someone had just gotten the band Tool together and just made them record music.
The file is actually called Drunk Singing.
It's called Drunk Singing.
Yeah. But
Wow.
there's a voice at the beginning before they start singing that says something on the lines of, this is for the bright kids out there to work out. And then they start singing. Apparently there's a variation to the song itself. It's about ducks diving down. But yeah, I'm not German, so maybe we need Million Lights on here or something. But it's obviously they're very old recordings. They're all done on tape, so it hasn't carried across that well, which is why they think the gong noise is so peculiar at times. Is because the magnetic tape has been stretched or whatever over time. So that was Gong Station. Apologies for the chat for the first one lasting over 2 minutes. I thought I must have put the wrong one on there because I've edited a lot of these down to be shorter. I'll change that for the edit. Okay. Sky King. Okay, Dishrag's on about Sky King. Sky King message where Pearl Jam is one of the codes. Well, the next one is called Swedish Rhapsody, and it's probably the most popular or famous number station recorded transmission. And it's believed to be the Polish or East German intelligence. It was notorious for its use of a young girl doing the voice, which was later revealed to be a special machine known as the Sprack machine to manipulate voices. It became inactive in 1989 after the fall of the communism, but it's believed to be reactivated in Poland, but I have no further information on that. So we'll go to Swedish Rhapsody, and hopefully this is an edited version. And it just
I feel like I recognise that song.
Apparently it's
I feel like I actually
popular song.
recognise it. It's very familiar to me. Must be the chip in my brain.
Okay, this last one before I move on to a Cassini one. So this is called the Whale Station, or sometimes referred to as the Backwards Music Station, even though it's not actually backward music. It was discovered in 2001. Some of these are reasonably recent. Discovered in 2001 and is sent from naval transmitters, both in England and the USA. Its frequencies, and I believe this one's still going, the frequencies are 7631 kilohertz, 10363, or 10512. Believed to be military communications, but could just be feedback from transmitters. One website had this to say. There appears to be two sources of these signals, one being somewhere in the United States, possibly the US Navy. Frequencies are close to naval frequencies. And reports have been received that they emanate from US naval bases, Jacksonville, Florida, and Virginia Beach. Other signals heard in England at good strength are poorly received in America, indicating a European source. An early suggestion was that the signals are a NATO communication device coming from a base in Palermo, Sicily. And I'll play the whale music.
Well, it's the second time today that I've actually heard Hendrix.
So yeah, that one is. Sorry, I came through a bit loud. It startled my cat.
My head hurts.
So, but that one, I
Where
believe
did
you can
it
still
go?
listen to it, and periodically you will get voices come over it as well. They said, but I won't play any more of that one because that is uncomfortable to listen to. So
Just very, very briefly, Draconite streams. No, I don't chase ice cream trucks. You're thinking of the Rube. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, if you do know what I'm talking about, then I will be very, very impressed. We can move on.
we can move on. Apologies, chat. That does go on for a long time. You do hear voices over it, but I think I've just there's probably loads of dogs barking everywhere now. So move on from that one. So the final one I wanted to do here, and this comes back to what we're talking about in part 3 of this pilot episode, was the Cassini mission. So Cassini listened to Saturn's radiation and everything, and it came up with some pretty nifty signals, which were converted into sound, and you imagine what. There's one particular audio file which I'll play in a second, and the people who are trying to look for particular things got behind this signal, manipulated it, and swear that it's an alien transmission from
Of course it is.
from Saturn. So this is the original transmission, and a lot of people probably will recognize it and understand why it sounds unusual. There you go, that's it. So
Yeah, I recognise that.
yeah, I recognise that. I think everyone would. Now, NASA's got no explanation as to this particular sound source. They believe it's collisions in Saturn's rings of either comets or big chunks of ring colliding into each other, and that's why you get that strange whooshing noise. But what makes it even more weird again is that they're very consistent at their timing. So, a couple of people have altered and played with the signal to try and find something in it, and there's 2 copies here, and you can make your own decision on them. So this is altered signal number 1, which apparently is alien speech, and some people have actually translated the speech as well if you go looking for it. That's one. And the other one. There you go. So I'm not sure about that second one. But this one, the first one, I could, argue, say it could sound like speech. I'll play it again. And someone's actually
But realistically, that's come from Cassini, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
what
so-
Cassini detected it and then transmitted it back.
It could be like the actual data being transmitted to it or being transmitted back that's actually causing that feedback.
Well, there's nothing to say that the signal wasn't interrupted or anything. So
Yeah,
or
totally. It's just like,
manipulated.
yeah. I mean, look, this is hardcore conspiracy stuff. Where
This
it's
is
just
hardcore
like,
conspiracy stuff. But as it was
Okay.
Cassini, I thought that it would be relevant here. And we can go into lots
Totally
of stuff about like Saturn, like Dione. Is Dione's one of Saturn's moons, isn't it?
I
But,
think so.
A lot of features on Dione have been blacked out. They think there's an alien base on there. But we won't get into that now. We'll save that for another day. But as it was, we mentioned Cassini in part 3. I thought it would be nice to chuck a Cassini signal in there for this part 4 section as well, which is the weird world. So, thoughts,
Yes.
Red? Is that alien speech?
No,
Okay, good. All right. As long as we've
it's
resolved
it's look, it's the same effect you get with white noise, right? Here's how it works. The human mind wants to find patterns. The human mind is evolved to find patterns. We find patterns. Even when there are no patterns, we find patterns. So when you play a series of sounds, we do our best to find a pattern, and even if there wasn't a pattern there, we would hear it and we would make it. Our minds are pattern recognition machines, and they do their best to find every single pattern we could possibly find. And guess what? If we hear a sound, we're going to think that it sounds like a pattern. And if it sounds like a pattern and it's something we're not familiar with, it's alien.
Well,
period.
Yes.
not even strictly speaking. By definition, if it's not something we know, then it's alien to us.
That was my point. So it's all about psychology. You can show people a sheet of paper with random white and black dots, and they'll find things in it. You can play
The
people
stars.
a sound that's
Stars.
pure static, and they will hear things. They even if there literally is nothing there, people will find things. And so, but that's the Cassini stuff. The other stuff I find far more interesting because somebody's putting that out there. That's not, there's no natural phenomenon that is creating those songs and numbers and that kind of thing.
Totally.
That somebody is paying electrical costs to put that on the air effectively. And so somebody's paying for the power that's putting that out is how I would put it.
Yeah.
And so I find those far more interesting.
And Gajira's brought an interesting one up, the bloop. Now, the bloop is a funny sound. So there's a lot of good sounds that we can play. The bloop is a good one. But this was specifically man-made radio transmissions, apart from the Cassini, but that was just a bit of fun. All Shane agrees the pattern thing is similar to the face on Mars. We see that pattern even when it doesn't exist. And Mars is rife with that sort of thing, especially at the moment. But we'll discuss all them at another time. But I hope that was enjoyable. It was a good thing for an audio podcast, of course. I should have maybe put on a preface at the beginning. Don't listen to this episode late at night. I know I won't be editing. I'll be editing during the daytime. this part, especially. Yeah. But that's what this section is going to be about. It's going to be the weird and wonderful, the weird world. I think we'll probably call it the weird world. We'll work on the name. But I hope that was. And sorry for the live chat if I blasted your ears, because I didn't have time to compress and all the transmissions and all the audio files, and some of them weren't even the edited ones that I did. So harder work for that next time. But we can get away with it. It's the pilot. So there we go. Red,
next time, there's no excuse.
Yes, next time. Yeah, that's the thing. I've said that now. Red, have you got any history corner?
No.
No. Okay, cool. Right, Digi,
No, not today.
lift our spirits with a good dad
Lift
joke.
your spirits. Well, hang on. I've got them all written down. Jeez, give me a break.
Bring us from the depths of Titan.
Look, I've got a few of them, all right? Okay. Here we go. Let's round things off. You hear about the new restaurant on the moon? Food is great, but there's no atmosphere.
Heard it before.
When my wife told me to stop impersonating a flamingo, I had to put my foot down. What's the best thing about elevator jokes? They work on so many levels. How many
Stop.
optometrists does it take to change a light bulb?
Enough.
1 or 2? 1 or 2? There you go. I'll finish on that one.
Oh. Okay.
You're all welcome.
Now that we've forgot the creepy stuff, and we're just completely disgusted by Digi's dad jokes, we can close out this episode. So thank you everyone for joining us on our pilot episode. I hope it's something that you enjoy. If you're listening to
We'll
the
get
edit of
better, we
this-
promise.
We'll get better. We'll get there. If you're listening,
I
to...
won't.
No, Digi will be the same.
Oh, we know you won't, buddy.
Digi
We'll
will
get
be the
better
same.
organized.
We'll get better organised. Yeah, we won't have a 2-hour delay next time. Although I don't know. Let's not say anything. I think
Not my fault.
Before we sign off, I do want to say a very big thank you to Red and Mater, who have stayed up incredibly late
Yes.
to go through this entire set of episodes for us.
Yeah, we've been running for about
thank you, guys.
6 hours. 6 hours. 6 hours we've been running for in total for a show that shouldn't really last more than 2 or 3 in total.
Yeah.
Thanks for the comments in chats, guys. We hope this will evolve. We'll continue, obviously. You can go to prograde.com. All the information is there. We have all of our links. The show notes for this will be up there, so you can click on the links from anything we've talked about. If you want to get in contact, we've got our contact details on there, and all our own personal links as well. So thank you for joining us. We hope this is something that you'll come to enjoy or learn to enjoy. And if you're listening on the edited version, this is obviously part 4, so it'll be the 4th release. And if you're still with us, hopefully that's a good sign. But we appreciate any feedback you've got about this pilot episode. Pilots always run clunky. Even though we've been doing this for a couple of years, there's a lot of new bits and pieces going on. And some of it was, I suppose we had to drag through a few bits and pieces. But there it is.
We'll get better.
We'll get better. We'll get better. Developing. Learning. We'll close out the pilot episode of Prograde Podcast. This will be recorded monthly, but we will release the parts, part 1 to 4, over the course of the following 4 weeks. So if you do contact in about a particular section or you get comments, just bear in mind that it may be a couple of weeks before we get to them, even though we're releasing episodes. So you just have to wait for... If you're going to comment on the gaming section, you'll have to wait for the gaming release to talk about it. Unless you're coming into the live Twitch chat, of course, which you can catch up with us live there anyway. And we will read out messages. But progradepodcast.com, everything you need will be there. And we hope to see you in a few weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye! Gazebo!
Gazebo.
Gazebo got it.
Gazebo.
Good stuff.
80s freeze frame.